Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Stark Fishing. Today, I'm trying something that I haven't done in a very long time. I am going to target carp. Now, years ago, when I was new to the area and teaching at a local high school, I had a student who shared with me their family recipe for carp bait and brought me to this spot. Now, this is Butler Creek, and this is the floodgate where it exits Finnissy Swamp and enters the Savannah River. I couldn't remember the exact recipe that he had given me, so I asked my fellow fishermen if they would share their recipes on Facebook and a couple other sites. The feedback was amazing, but rather than follow one of those recipes, I decided to take the concepts that I found and try to make my own, using the ingredients that I had around the house. Now, if you want the recipe, be sure to check in the description. So we actually had some rain earlier in the week, so the water level was up just a little bit, but my experience in this particular spot is that the more water that's flowing through it, the more fish that are going to be stacked up in this little hole. Now, this might make some of you a little squeamish, but it's the only way to get down to the spot, so I'm going to take my time and be real careful. Whoops, stumbled a little bit there, but it definitely doesn't look as bad as it felt. Thankfully, the spot's only about 20 yards away. So after getting set up, I realized a couple things that I'd forgotten. Number one, a dip net. Without one, it's going to be really difficult to get a larger fish up onto the bank. Secondly, I forgot a pair of pliers, and since I'm using treble hooks, it's definitely going to be challenging to get the hooks out of the fish that I do catch. Well, look at that. It didn't take very long for me to get my first bite. Now, with the previous recipe, I don't remember catching anything but carp. So that's kind of my expectations here, is that that's what's on the end of my line. But nope, look at that. It's a catfish, a nice little eating size channel cat. Now, I've been told that carp have really good eyesight, so I'm using a 6-pound monofilament leader only because at the time I didn't have fluorocarbon. But I'm using a size 16 treble hook, which is probably a little bit small, and I'm going to increase the size of that hook when I find it. And I have a small split shot that's about 1 foot up above the hook. But the dough bait actually provides plenty of weight for casting. Hookup number 2. Perhaps this is my first carp. Nope, it's another catfish, this time a little bigger than the first. Now, at this point, I'm beginning to think that my dough bait recipe is effective, but for the wrong species. I've always used chicken livers or cut bait for catfish, but I'm beginning to wonder now if I've stumbled onto something big. So I've started having some issues with my camera, and I've actually lost quite a bit of footage from this trip. Since the weather has warmed up, the 360 camera has started to overheat. I'm still working on a solution, but it seems like this is something that's a problem across the board, and not just me. And there's my third hookup. The question is it a catfish or a carp? Whoops! The hook came out on that one, and I'm honestly not sure what it was, but I think it was a carp. Hookup number 4. Now this fish has a little more weight to it, and I'm thinking it's a carp. Did you see that gold flash? It's a carp, and my guess is between 5 to 6 pounds. Now, these fish are so much fun, and they give such a great fight. So this is one of those spots where the camera gives out, so I'll fill you in on what happened. But I tried to get down there and pull that fish up, and it was just too difficult. The line broke and he swam off, but that's okay. I was going to throw him back anyway. Now the first part of this video was filmed on a Saturday afternoon. This footage is from the next morning, and this time I have a dip net and a pair of pliers. Hookup number 5. The bite was still pretty good, but not as strong as the day before, and I was still having some camera issues, and again lost some footage of several of the fish that I did catch. Now this is another nice carp, and I'm beginning to feel a lot more confident about my recipe and its ability to catch multi-species. Hey, there is hookup number 6. This is looking like another really good fish, but look at that. It's another catfish. Probably the biggest one of the weekend so far. So overall, for the 2 days, I caught just as many catfish as I did carp. Now I returned Monday afternoon, but the water level had gone down a bit and the bite had slowed with it. But I still caught a catfish. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have a carp recipe that is tried and true, I would love for you to share it in the comments. I'm going to keep looking for carp, and next week I'm going to try chumming and then looking for some new spots. Thanks for joining me, and don't forget, if you see me out on the water, be sure to stop and say hello.